The Foreclosure Cycle. Objectives. The objectives of this chapter are to understand the path of properties in default, grasp important technical definitions, and know the options available to the homeowner. The Foreclosure Cycle. Let's assume there is a particular property owned by a private individual. We're going to call this property privately owned real estate. If the homeowners default and they can't resolve the situation, there will be a foreclosure sale. If no one buys the property will become bank-owned. The industry term for bank-owned real estate is R.E.O. R.E.O. is an acronym for Real Estate Owned. R.E.O. departments. Most banks have R.E.O. departments. These departments handle foreclosed real property now owned by the bank. R.E.O. bank operations differ greatly. This subject is outside the scope of this seminar. What all R.E.O. operations have in common is their objective. They need to liquidate properties in the shortest time for the most money. As soon as possible, the bank will sell the property for as much as possible to a private individual. The property will be privately owned real estate again, but with a new owner. If this new owner defaults, there will be three options. The least palatable of the options is foreclosure. Foreclosure is the result of the homeowner losing ownership rights over a property due to default. If no one buys the property at the foreclosure sale, the property will become R.E.O. of another bank. This new bank will sell the property to another individual. Now the property will become privately owned real estate again. The option that most homeowners seek is default resolution. Default resolution alternatives. Cure or reinstatement. By far, the best avenue for preventing foreclosure is the cure or reinstatement of the loan. For this, the homeowner will have to pay the creditor the complete amount of the default plus all legal expenses. No partial payments of the default will be allowed. There is a legal principle called estoppel. Simply explained, to tolerate a behavior implies authorizing such behavior. Based on this, to tolerate late and incomplete payments is the equivalent to authorizing late and incomplete payments. Consequently, a creditor, by accepting partial and late payments, will imply that the homeowner can pay when he can or wants to pay. Not only that, if lawyers get involved, it can be very expensive to revert. How many banks would like that? Reinstatement is more possible when there is equity and appreciation. Often people that reinstate fall back into default. Although they obtain the money to resolve the default, they typically do not have the income to keep up with the payments. Another default resolution alternative is refinance. Refinance. This tends to be the first impulse of a homeowner in default. It requires plenty of equity. Typically, a refinance results in further encumbrance on the property, so there is equity loss. In addition, this kind of a loan is a higher risk for the creditor. Often this is compensated with higher interest. Typically, a change of circumstances, such as getting a new, better-paying job, is expected by the lender. Because of all these conditions, very few people can actually be refinanced during default. Refinance is almost impossible with little or no equity. Another default resolution alternative is forbearance. Forbearance. The details of forbearance agreements are outside the scope of this class, so this subject will only be covered superficially. To forbear means to refrain from something. In the case of mortgage default, it means that the creditor, for a short time, abstains from enforcing its rights. In other words, the lender, for the time being, refrains from foreclosing. The intention of forbearance agreements is to give temporary relief to the homeowner. This makes it easier for the homeowner to make up for the default. Forbearance is highly associated with Bankruptcy Chapter 13. Bankruptcy Chapter 13 is the reorganization of debt payment for individuals. This subject is covered in more detail in the bankruptcy segment of this class. Most creditors will attempt forbearance prior to initiating foreclosure. Attempts of forbearance typically take place during collections, prior to beginning the foreclosure process. Forbearance agreements come in multiple variations. Forbearance agreements have a high rate of failure. This simplified example demonstrates why so many forbearance agreements fail. Let's say that someone has a mortgage payment of $1,000 per month, and that the total value of the default, which includes missed payments, penalties, legal expenses, and accrued interest, is $3,600. A possible forbearance agreement would be a 1-year default payoff. The homeowner pays off the default within 1 year. According to this, for the next 12 months, the homeowner will pay the original $1,000 per month plus an additional $300 every month. The new monthly total is $1,300 per month. So after 1 year, the $3,600 default will be paid off. Then payments go back to the regular $1,000 per month. Let me ask you a question. What are the chances that if someone can't keep up with $1,000 per month payments, that they can keep up with $1,300 per month payments? Because of this and other reasons, forbearances have a high failure rate. Some forbearance agreements succeed. If this is the case, sooner or later the homeowner will sell the property. Then someone else will privately own the property. If the property owner can't resolve the default and wants to avoid foreclosure, the other option is the short sale. Short sales are a solution when a property is over-mortgaged. The property is worth less than the debt secured by it. Short sales will always be associated with investment. How many buyers are willing to pay full retail price for a property that is behind in payments? Even homeowners, people who are actually willing to use the property as a primary residence, will want to buy the property at least at a very competitive price. This is because buying in a short sale takes more effort. The vast majority of people buying in a short sale, even if it is through a real estate agent, expect some sort of reward. Sooner or later, the property will be sold. Now the property will become privately owned real estate again. Now, if this ultimate person defaults, the foreclosure cycle reoccurs. Review. Properties in default follow a specific cycle. Homeowners in default have 3 options: foreclosure, default resolution, and short sale. Each aspect of the foreclosure cycle has a specific technical term.